had an experience in Cape Town, South Africa a couple of years ago that I know I will never forget. I was there to visit projects that were working with women and children at risk. And after spending a couple days visiting prisons for women, rehabilitation centers for women, places providing rehabilitation for women who've been in prostitution and drug addiction, I found myself going into a home that was for children who had been mentally handicapped. And I walked in there and the room was filled with these little kids just all over the floor and from all ages, and most of these children had been abandoned. And I felt a little bit uncomfortable, and it's not that they made me uncomfortable or even the situation, but I just felt so unsure what to do. I was so afraid of doing the wrong thing, and I was so afraid of responding to a child in a way that would make them feel uncomfortable or that they couldn't respond back in the way they wanted to. I didn't want to underestimate what they could do. I didn't want to overestimate what they could do. And I was just feeling really out of my comfort zone and not sure how to communicate what I felt to them in the way that I wanted to. And so as I made my way around the room, I saw a little boy like in the corner, the back corner of the room, and he looked like he was about 8 years old, and he was strapped to a board and just lying flat on the ground and just staring up at the ceiling with no expression on his face. And so I started to kneel down and just took my bag off my shoulder and knelt down, and the only thing I needed to do was to stroke his forehead. They had told me he wouldn't really be able to understand if I spoke to him and he wouldn't be able to communicate. And so I just started to just brush my fingers across his forehead. And after just several seconds, his eyelashes just started to flutter, and then slowly these tears just started to fall. And it was such a powerful moment for me, and his eyes just continued to do that, and I sat there for, I'm actually not sure how long, until they told me that it was time for us to leave. And it was really difficult to leave, and I felt terrible to have to actually step away from him. And as I did take my hand away, it was the first time that his eyes actually shifted and they just darted over in my direction. And I felt like he was asking why I had stopped. And it felt terrible that I couldn't explain to him or couldn't say anything and properly communicate. And as I walked out of there, my heart just felt so heavy. And I remember crying myself to sleep that night. But I remember feeling so much for his loss and for what had happened to him. But I also just remember I couldn't put words to, I think, just that kind of powerful moment and just the power of human touch, and that I had felt so helpless and that there was nothing that I could give and nothing I could do to resolve or help his situation. And the only thing I knew to do was just that act of affection and that touch. And then seeing those tears fall and seeing that spirit so alive within respond to just that kind of communication. And it was just something that never left me. And I think the times in my life where I've actually witnessed that for myself is in the moments, those rare moments where you actually feel like you're confronted with real, true grace. And those moments, too, I've never forgotten. And I think they were an incredible gift from God to give me, where I felt like he was actually communicating to me his love and using another person to demonstrate that for me. But it was so powerful. And I think grace is just one of the most powerful foundations of our faith, of the Christian faith. And we talk about it and we write about it and we preach about it. But I think we still struggle to understand it. And we struggle to understand what it means for us, that it can actually be for us. And we struggle to know how to give it to other people. And I think the temptation is to put boundaries on it, on how it's given or how it's distributed. And we can rank things and what level of grace they deserve and who gets the grace and who doesn't. And I think you can often feel like maybe there's enough grace for everyone else's sins, but not your own. And I think that demonstration of seeing people reach out to me that has reminded me of that moment, just that powerful moment, that's how healing and that's how restorative it feels, and recognizing that we believe in a God, that we know there's a God there that we can go to and just lay ourselves before him, like our flawed, broken person, all our mistakes, all our broken dreams, the regrets, the things we wish we could change, the person that we sometimes wish that we were, and that we're met there with just an unconditional, beautiful healing and redemptive grace. And I think when you realize that, I think the power that it gives, I think the beauty that you see in coming face to face with that kind of redemption just helps to change the way you see life. So here's my challenge to you, and for me too, for today. Find someone today who walks into your life that you can extend the gift of grace to, because it will leave them forever changed, and they will never forget it. It will leave you forever changed as well.